How are you all? Are any more people going to join the class, or just 4 of you are there?
Some will join.
Okay, wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll start the class. What about the previous lectures? Or if you understand or want any clarifications in those lectures?
Understood, ma'am.
In the previous class, we talked about the development of palate. No? Hello.
Yes.
Any one of you can explain about the development. I mean, can start and then we'll go ahead with today's topic, that is development of tongue. So how was the palate developed?
Ma'am, palate develops from frontonasal process and maxillary process. The primary palate is developed from the frontonasal process, out of which the medial nasal process. Secondary palate develops from palatine process of maxilla. Palatine process of maxillary process.
Yes, maxillary processes prominence.
When two medial nasal processes come close, they fuse to form the primary palate, which is called the premaxilla. It has 4 incisors.
Premaxilla, or one more name is there. Is that?
Primary palate.
That is also known as maxillary segment.
Okay. Secondary palate is derived from the maxillary process of palatine process of maxillary process.
And all the primary and secondary palate, they fuse
The
together
palatine
to form.
process, yes, ma'am. So, a Y-shaped suture.
Y-shaped structure is there between the primary and the secondary palate. So any more people joining in, or just 10? So today we'll also have breakout sessions. Like I'll divide the whole class into groups depending upon the number of people, 4 to 5 in each group, and then you will discuss the question which I will ask in that breakout session, and you people discuss it within 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes the breakout rooms will close. Then you decide a leader in that group who will speak when I'll ask the question back after the breakout sessions are over. Okay, I will randomly assign the breakout rooms to the whole class. Okay, and you have to decide a group leader on your own, or I'll tell you who will be the group leader or who will present, rather, who will tell me the answer to the question I have asked. Okay? So this is part of interactive class. Means a pen and paper is there. And this is known as buzz session. Although it is in offline class, it is more easy to assign the group and then discuss. But here we have breakout sessions. So in the online class, we have breakout sessions and then we'll come back to the main. Fine? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm going to start the class. Is it visible to you all? Is it visible?
No, ma'am.
No? I'll share again. Now? Is it sharing?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay, fine. So, today's topic is development of tongue. Learning objective for today's class are to describe the development of tongue and study the associated anomalies related to the development of tongue. Now, before proceeding with the development, we should have a brief introduction. What is tongue? So, from your head and neck knowledge of gross anatomy, you must be able to recall your previous knowledge that it is the single largest muscular organ that is lying inside the oral cavity and relatively free anteriorly. That's why it protrudes out when you are opening your mouth and showing your tongue to someone when you go to the examination, the chamber of a doctor for ENT or something. Then you are asked to protrude your tongue and you are freely able to protrude it. Okay. Now, what happens is the tongue exactly develops in relation to the pharyngeal arches. Now, pharyngeal arches have already been taught to you. How many pharyngeal arches are there total? Anyone?
5.
5 arches. Why not 6?
Ma'am, because fifth are degenerates after formation.
Okay, fine. Now, this tongue is made up of 2 parts, divided into anterior 2 and posterior 1/3. Now, when we talk about the development of tongue and it context to the pharyngeal arches, the pharyngeal arches numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4 because 4 are responsible for the development of tongue. So here 4 are only shown and they are shown in different colors so as to demarcate them from each other. See, the first arch is shown in orange, then second in blue, third in yellow, and fourth in green. Now, in relation to the first pharyngeal arch, at the fourth week of intrauterine life, what happens?
Excuse me,
Yes.
ma'am, your slide is not changing.
Okay. Actually, what happens is when I start the slide, things go wrong. So I'll end slideshow and then I'll simply make the slides move like this. Is it okay now? Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now see this diagram. The first arch medially gives rise to two lingual swellings, or you can say two swellings are formed in relation to first arch medially, and these two are named as lingual swellings. This one and this one. Okay, and escorted to these two lingual swellings, a red rhomboid shaped structure formed that is known as tuberculum impar. So these three structures, that is bilateral lingual swellings as well as the tuberculum impar, they develop in relation to the first arch. In relation to the second, third and fourth arch, you can see a rounded, or you can see an oval structure in the midline having all three colors, blue, yellow as well as green. These together form a swelling that is known as hypobranchial eminence. Okay. Then this is the similar structure showing you how the two lingual swellings, they fuse together in the midline and they enlarge. Also fusing at the same time with the tuberculum impar and with the caudal hypobranchial eminence. Now this hypobranchial eminence is divided into two parts, cranial part that is known as scapula and the caudal part giving rise to the epiglottis. This green structure is responsible for the formation of epiglottis. Okay. The two lingual swellings as well as the tuberculum, they fuse with this caudal cranial part of the hypobranchial eminence, that is scapula, and at the junction is, that is junction of first and second arch, there is blind foramen that is known as foramen cecum. This foramen cecum, if you recall, it makes a depression and a cord-like structure is formed which undergoes canalization that is known as thyroglossal duct, responsible for the formation of bilobed structure, that is thyroid gland. When you have learnt about the pharyngeal arches, you must have come across this thyroglossal duct and thyroid gland. पढ़ा है?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a similar slide that is telling you about the hypobranchial eminence that is formed second, third, and fourth arches, and it divides into cranial and caudal part. Cranial part is known as scapula, and the caudal part is the epiglottis. It is not named specifically. This again showing you the pharyngeal arch and the medial structures, that is two lingual swellings and the tuberculum impar in relation to the first arch, and the hypobranchial eminence in relation to the second, third, and fourth arches. Okay. Now, what all these three structures are here? Red, yellow, and orange. Can anyone tell me what is it?
Arteries, nerves, and cartilages of the arch.
Okay, yes. And this nerve is very important. We'll talk about it in the further slides, but here it is. A diagrammatic representation. I mean, you can draw this diagram. When you are asked to draw in the exams, you can very well draw this diagram, and it also makes it easy to understand the two lingual swelling in relation to the first arch. They grow in size and fuse with each other in the midline. Also, it fuses with the tuberculum impar, which is a rhomboid-shaped structure, this posterior to the two lingual swellings. And this fusion is also with the cranial part of hypobranchial eminence, that is copula. The black dot is shown here, that is the foramen caecum. Okay, so this shape is finally forming the tongue. This is anterior third of tongue, whereas the posterior one third of tongue is formed from the cranial part of hypobranchial eminence. Now, when we move further, if we talk about the nerve supply of anterior two third of tongue is from the first arch itself. First arch की nerve कौन सी है?
Maxillary nerve.
Maxillary नहीं. Although you are very close, it's a branch of trigeminal nerve. It is not maxillary. Anyone else?
Mandibular nerve. Mandibular.
Yes. So trigeminal has 3 divisions. What are they?
Ophthalmic division, maxillary division, and mandibular division.
Very good. Now this anterior third, this is a side view of the tongue. So that you can very well understand how this nerve supply is derived. Anterior two-third of tongue is clear-cut derived from the first. So the anterior third has got the nerve supply from the mandibular nerve itself, that is nerve arch. Also it's got some part derived from the second arch. I'll tell you later. But posterior one third of tongue actually क्या होना चाहिए? Second arch से होना चाहिए ना? Posterior one third की supply, because it is derived from second and third arch. Is it true? होना चाहिए ना? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
But ऐसा नहीं होता. Why is it so? Second arch is buried by the overgrowth of the third arch. As you can see in this picture, the arch overgrows the second arch and it is buried in the third arch. तो जब ये बरी हो जाता है तो थर्ड आर्च फ्यूज करता है ना एंटीरियर टू थर्ड से पोस्टीरियर वन थर्ड बनाने के लिए. And that is why the nerve of posterior one third is the glossopharyngeal. That is the nerve of third arch. Okay. The fourth arch is responsible for the development of epiglottis, so it is derived from the nerve of the fourth arch, that is superior laryngeal, which itself is a branch of vagus. Clear? अब हमने अभी बात की थी कि anterior third of tongue has got dual nerve supply. Why the dual nerve supply is there in the anterior two-third of the tongue only? Can you correlate it with the development of the pharyngeal arches? Mariam? And two-third की dual nerve supply. No answers. That you have totally gotten pharyngeal arches and their nerves. Now, I'll tell you how. how this thing is there. Actually, each of the pharyngeal arch has got full nerve supply in poor animals. But this is not the case in human beings. In human beings, only the first arch has got dual nerve supply. होता क्या है? There is no white, otherwise I would have drawn and shown. Anterior 2/3 फर्स्ट आर्च से है. ह्यूमन बीइंग्स में फर्स्ट आर्च की ड्यूल नर्व सप्लाई होती है. एक तो उसकी अपनी नर्व होती है, दैट इज नोन एज पोस्ट ट्रिमेटिक ब्रांच, और एक प्री ट्रिमेटिक होती है. ट्रेमा इज बेसिकली अ ट्रेंच. तो यहाँ देखिए आप, ये डिप्रेशंस हैं. So here it is. This is a depression between first and second arch. Similarly, between the second and third and fourth, these are the depressions, or you can say these are the trenches. Or trench literally means in English it is a hole dug in the ground. So the name of the nerve is given like this: pre-traumatic and post-traumatic. उस particular arch की nerve जो है वो post-traumatic होती है. Like is it visible? Hello? Is it visible, students?
Ma'am, slide is visible, but nothing else than slide.
Okay, slide is visible. And to show you how the traumatic and the post-traumatic are formed. See, the nerve of this arch is this one, and it gives a branch to it in the first arch. Now, the branch which is in the arch itself is the post-traumatic. Post-traumatic मतलब ट्रेमा जो है, जो ओवल है, उसके बाद वाले जो नर्व है वो है पोस्ट ट्रॉमेटिक, और जो उस ट्रेमा से पहले आ रही है, जो पहले वाले आर्च को सप्लाई कर रही है, दैट इज प्री ट्रॉमेटिक. ठीक है. तो नाउ द सेकंड आर्च हैज गॉट इट्स प्री ट्रॉमेटिक ब्रांच टू द फर्स्ट आर्च. ठीक है. तो सेकंड आर्च की नर्व क्या होती है?
Facial.
Facial giving its branch to the first arch, that is tympani. Anterior 2/3 of the tongue has got dual nerve supply with the post-traumatic branch of the nerve itself, that is lateral branch of mandibular, and pre-traumatic from the arch, that is tympani from the facial. ये human beings की characteristic है. ठीक है? Is it okay? Now, when we talk about the muscles of the tongue are derived from the occipital myotomes, and this explains that the nerve supply of the occipital myotomes is by the hypoglossal nerve, that is 12th cranial nerve. Epithelium basically single layered hoti hai, and then papillae and stratification appears. That is why the epithelium of the tongue is stratified squamous epithelium. And taste buds are formed in relation to the terminal branches of the nerve fibers. question how the tongue develops. Can you explain? So how many arches are involved in the formation of tongue? Answer in just one word.
4 arches.
4 arches. कोई और भी हो सकता है, सिर्फ फायजा ही बोलेंगे? Okay, let's move further. Talking about anomalies of the developing tongue. Anomalies are formed, or anomalies happen when the two lingual swellings are not able to fuse with each other, or they are not able to fuse with the rhomboid shaped structure, that is tuberculum impar, or with the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. They are not able to grow properly, or they are overgrown, leading to the formation of a large tongue, small tongue, bifid tongue, or tongue may be tied to the floor or to the roof of the mouth. That is known as ankyloglossia. Glossia means tongue. So microglossia is a small tongue, macroglossia is large tongue, and bifid tongue is when the two lingual swellings are non-fused. Ankyloglossia may be partial or may be complete. We'll see the pictures. This is microglossia. A small tongue is shown in the floor of the mouth. Macroglossia is overdevelopment. It is associated with certain syndrome, that is Down syndrome or Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. And this is how the macroglossia is. Ankyloglossia is when the tongue is fixed to the floor of the mouth or to the roof. To the roof, it is a rare condition, that is, it is fixed to the palate. But normally, ankyloglossia is present when there is a fibrous band between the floor of the mouth and the tongue. See, this is ankyloglossia. It may be complete or only the tip is used.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, slide
Yes.
has not used.
So, again, the same thing is happening. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a picture showing the microglossia, that is small tongue. Then there is macroglossia, which is large tongue in these 3 pictures. And moving further, this is ankyloglossia. Here the tongue is tied to the floor of the mouth. This is complete ankyloglossia. This one is partial. The tip of the tongue is anchored to the floor. Then there could be persistent tuberculum impar. Means tuberculum impar that is formed from the first arch. It is present in the form of red rhomboid-shaped smooth zone, and it is not completely merged with the anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. Then there could be thyroid tissue in the substance of the tongue. Means in the tongue itself, in the musculature of the tongue, or in the mucosa of the tongue. Now this picture is showing you fissured tongue. Coming to the video, She has used clay to show you different colors and how the tongue is formed. This video shows you how the pharyngeal arches um, are derived along with the development of tongue and thyroid gland. So you can go through it. In order to revise the whole thing. That's it about the development of the tongue. Is it clear now? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm assigning you to the breakout sessions. There are how many people? 9 in the class. In one and rest of you in the second class. Give you 5 minutes and in one, Ila will be the group leader and two, Faiza will be the group leader. And the question is how the nerve supply of anterior third of the tongue is derived. So you start breakout and 5 minutes you will rejoin the main session, and then I'll ask Nabila and Liza. Okay? Start the discussion with her and finally come up with an answer. Why are you not going to the breakout rooms? Liza, Aditi, and Nadeem, join the breakout rooms. Nadeem, you also join the breakout session. So have you discussed? Nabila?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What is the answer to the question? Anterior two-thirds of the tongue has got dual nerve supply. How?
Ma'am, it has a post-traumatic and pre-traumatic nerve. The post-traumatic nerve anterior two-thirds of the tongue is supplied by the mandibular nerve, lingual nerve, which is a part of mandibular nerve, and it is
Which
a
is a
part.
branch of lingual. Which is a branch of lingual. It's not a
Yes,
part.
which is a branch of mandibular nerve, and it's a part of trigeminal nerve. The mandibular
Again,
nerve.
it's a subdivision. Trigeminal nerve has got three subdivisions: ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular. Now, mandibular is giving rise to a branch that is lingual nerve. Okay, and
Yes,
this lingual nerve is forming the post-traumatic nerve of the first arch. What is pre-traumatic nerve
ma'am.
of the first
Pre-traumatic
arch?
nerve is, ma'am, chorda tympani, which is a branch of facial nerve, and it
Very
gives the taste sensation.
good. Thank you. Faiza,
Thank you, ma'am.
what about you?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the anterior two-third is formed as it is formed by the lingual swelling, which is a swelling on the first arch. So its nerve supplies from the first arch. The nerve of the first arch is mandibular nerve, and its lingual branch supplies the anterior two-third, which is a post-traumatic nerve of first arch.
Post-traumatic,
Uh,
traumatic.
yes, ma'am, post-traumatic nerve of the first arch, and it carries the general sensation.
Right.
The pre-traumatic nerve of this arch is the chorda tympani nerve, which is a branch of facial nerve, and it carries the taste sensation from the anterior two-third.
Very good. Now I'm going to share the link of Google. I've also shared it in the Google Classroom, but if you do the thing here only, that will be good for you. I'm sharing it in the chat box. Please fill that form in the class itself, and me, I'll take the attendance. How many of you are there? There is Nabila,
Present, ma'am.
Faiza,
Present, ma'am.
Mariam Zubair is there. Who else is there in the class? Aditya, Porshne, Anas, Zia, and
Present,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes.
Mariam Zubair, Anas, Zia.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
roll number?
Ma'am, 27.
27. And who else?
Saman Altaf.
Tulan was there, but she left. Saman Altaf. What's your roll number? This one. 20. और कौन है?
Same roll number 30.
दिति वॉशने.
Present, ma'am.
दिति, आपका रोल नंबर क्या है?
Ma'am, 38.
38. Okay. और कौन है? There were 10 people, 9 people in the class. 3,
And
4,
Zainab, bro.
5, 6, 7. Zainab, Rauf.
Yes, ma'am.
और कौन बचा है? क्योंकि
Sana.
19 से कोई नहीं है. Sana Nasreen is present. और 9 of you are there. ठीक है. आपने फॉर्म देख लिया? I've shared it in the chat box. Please fill it here only. It will take hardly 4 to 5 minutes. And which session did you enjoy more? Breakout session or that is, I mean, the first session or the 1 minute paper as we did in the previous class? So you have to choose that option on the form. कौन सा आपको ज़्यादा पसंद आया, which one you want in the future classes. Shall I end the meeting? And I hope you will all fill that form.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.